story from each driver. Fascinating how they got to this point in their careers and what they will do with it. Miami, the career for these drivers. Logano, no wins. Jimmy Johnson, no wins. Carl Edwards has 2, Kyle Busch, a win. But when it comes down to it, look at the average finishes. 9.3 for Carl Edwards. Jimmy Johnson has come to this racetrack many times looking to win a championship, but hasn't had to win. He hasn't had to make that ultimate sacrifice to win this race to win a championship. He may have to tomorrow.
Well, and that's really, in my mind, what changes everything. In this race, in this format, now in year 3, in my mind, is the most pressure-packed, stressful race in all of motorsports. We see championships determined at the final race in other series, but it's a year-long battle, and normally there's a cushion that's being protected. But we come into here with 4 drivers, all of which would be very deserving champions, all of which, arguably, Jeff, you could put in victory lane with some stat or some reason that makes them better than the other 3. And they're all going to have to show up on one day and put their best on the racetrack to try to compete. And I believe, without a doubt, I expect to see one of them in victory lane. We've seen it the last 2 years.
It's going to be difficult because there's so many good cars that entered the chase this year. You know, it wouldn't be a complete surprise to see one of those other cars find a way to win. But the only guy of those 4 that we showed that has had to step up and win a huge race to win a championship is Kyle Busch. And we talking to Carl Edwards won 2 races here, but none of those were under this situation. And Kyle Busch just did it last year. So Jimmy Johnson, 6-time champion, certainly used to the pressure, but never had to be going in a race like this.
That's right. Earlier, we showed the comparison between what Carl would do against his teammate at Richmond. How about we flash back to 2008 and just how aggressive Carl Edwards will be to try to win a race? Well, he threw it into the turn in Kansas, could not handle the speed, slid up the racetrack, and probably one of the greatest points was when Jimmy Johnson was interviewed after that race. He said, I saw him fly by on the inside and thought, what is he doing? There's no way he's going to be able to keep that on the racetrack.
I love that move because with fans who have not had the ability to be in a race car, when they all say, well, just go faster. Okay, well, Carl Edwards did. He went faster.
That's what he did.
But there has to be the grip to make the corner. It was, you know, when people say, look, I gave it all I had, you know, I don't really know because that looked like all he had.
That's exactly what Carl Edwards gave there, was everything he had.
That was all he had and probably more than he should have, right?
Mike.
Well, speed is everything in this sport. It's not just on the racetrack, guys. It's also in the garage during these practice sessions. And perhaps there's no team more efficient than the 48 team this week. It seems like even when Jimmy and Chad debrief, when Jimmy gets out of the car, each one of the crew members is at his particular station ready to go. And as soon as the debrief ends, they go to work. In addition to that, it's interesting. They've got several crew members paving a path between the car and the actual transporter, making sure no one's in their way. You see crew members running back and forth. They even have a crew member dedicated to opening and shutting the door on the transporter to make sure it's very efficient down here in this garage. As for the race car, well, we don't hear much communication on the radio because it's digital, but what we can see is they've changed all 4 shocks on this race car and also changed left side weight placement. So obviously they're doing a little bit of work. Perhaps, Steve, you can shed some light on maybe what they're dealing with based upon what you've seen them do.
Well, I think that, you know, you just mentioned how organized Chad Knaus is. Jeff, we talked about earlier this year, it didn't look like a Chad Knaus prepared team with some of the mistakes. It seems like so far in Miami during practice, it's been a well-oiled machine, but they had some hiccups in qualifying. You know, but it's hard to tell, Mike, because you don't know whether they're fighting a balance issue or if Chad's just going through his plan, a predetermined plan on what they want to try. But you can see how organized they are. Chad is running the practice with still just a little over 5 minutes left. Here comes Jimmy, helmet still on. Don't even take your helmet off. Most drivers don't ask. Jimmy Johnson asks. He won't take his helmet off unless Chad says, hey, you have enough time.
They had the scales underneath it with only 5 minutes to go. I mean, they've got to pick it up a little bit if they're making a change where they want to get some feedback.
Yeah, but organizing practice is another facet the crew chief has to understand. Chad Knaus knows how long every change should take. He probably only needs a couple minutes. That'd be 4 or 5 laps on whatever change this would be.
4 drivers coming into this final race of the season, all with a shot at the championship. 2 going for their first, 1 for his 7th, 1 trying to go back-to-back.